right back, Charlie.
I think it's like
people deluded. I'm back again.
Come on, Ian. Man. Come on. Just as the big man Ian Wright just said there, people deluded, I'm back again. Big up you lot on Twitter, Twitch or YouTube. Make sure you're cross-following on all the platforms. Also, please do me a favor if you're on YouTube, slap the like button if you haven't. And on your way in, people, again, any thoughts, comments, talking points, let me know them and let me have them. Very appreciative of you lot spending your afternoon or morning or evening or night, depending on the time zone. We're going to go over Mikel Arteta's press conference. We're going to see the latest rumors, talking points and all that sort of jazz in relation to Arsenal. So yeah, man, check out the content. Don't forget, tomorrow we're watching Aston Villa versus Arsenal together. It's going to be a tough game. Big up them for beating Manchester City. And yeah, we'll see what's going on. The title song gets me every time. Come on. That's what I'm here to do, man. Say what you want. We might not have the most views, highest engagement, but I think we got the best intro on YouTube, man. And we probably need to get some others sorted, man. I might be a one-hit wonder coming like the Taliban. Nah, I'm joking, man. Big him up. Hard work by DG being recognized. Keep it up, broski. More blessings to you. Smash the likes, peeps. The Arsenal perspective, you're far too kind. I disagree slightly. Obviously, it's about working smart, not necessarily hard. That's my goal for 2024. Not where I want to be. I'm definitely not where I want to be. I definitely don't think, and it's more, you lot are planting the seeds in my head. Pause. I don't think I'm recognized the way I need to be, but I got the streets, man. So yeah, we keep working. Appreciate that, man. The very fact that you've commented that, or that's been a what would you call it, a thought in your head, shows I'm on the right track. So we got to keep working, man. Appreciate that. So yeah, man, let's crack on with everything, man. Let's not waste any time, people. Let me share my screen with you lot. It feels like I ain't done this for a while. Big up you lot in the chat. We've actually clicked the wrong one. Shameless plug, people, but big up She Knows Arsenal. I did a video with her yesterday. We went back to back. We did something for her channel and mine. Obviously, that came out in the last 24 hours, so go and have a butchers of that. I'm going to focus in another video more on Aston Villa. That'll be out for you lot. And of course, like I said, it's watch along settings tomorrow. So yeah, smash the like button, subscribe if you haven't, and all of that good stuff. And one love for tuning in, but let's crack on. First up is Mikel Arteta's press conference. I can't imagine there's too much for him to say in relation to Aston Villa. We know they've got Emi Martinez, who, was sold by Mikel Arteta, and playing devil's advocate, if we look at all of the goalies in the Premier League, give or take, Edison or Alisson is the number one. For me, I prefer Alisson. I know they both kind of make mistakes. Edison more frequent, but I think Alisson's a better shot stopper. He's not bad with his feet, even though he's not known for that. I think he's the top don. But give or take, we know it's Alisson or Edison. Below that, if in that other bracket, who would be the third choice or third best? I think maybe Raya would have had that. Obviously he's had teething problems at Arsenal, but the Raya at Brentford, I think Emi Martinez has got a shout. Don't necessarily. I think Ramsdale's in with a conversation. Do I think he's the third best? No, but PFA nominations and all of that. And there's probably a bunch of other goalies. You throw Nick Pope, I guess Sanchez of Brighton. Man said the Brighton shows where I've been, of Chelsea. I'm sure there's some other names as well. Maybe Onana if Man United fix up. Big up them for beating them lot, not up the road, but West London. And obviously, I think they've got Man United have won goal of the month, manager of the month, and player of the month. So we definitely need 10 excuses. Sorry, Eric Ten Hag, to stay in the job. But in relation to Aston Villa, we know what to expect. It's going to be a difficult game. We were the last, ironically, we're playing them on Saturday. We was the last team to beat them at their home place. They've won the last 14, I believe. Won some big games, Spurs ain't a big game, but beat Spurs, beat City in midweek. We know they've got Unai Emery. We know they've got a bunch of great players. They've got the workmen like Camara and John McGinn, who are very good. They've got Douglas Luiz. Set pieces are going to be vital. The Watkins, the Diabys, the Leon Baileys. The list goes on. Their fullbacks as well. And if I'm Aston Villa, I'm trying to make it difficult for Arsenal tomorrow. I'm trying to put crosses into the box. I'm also trying to play football. I'm trying to target both fullbacks, Zinchenko and Benjamin White. We know we're not going to have Tomiyasu. And while Arsenal have improved defensively, statistically, we're one of the best sides defensively in the Prem. The Luton game didn't reflect that. So if there's any frailties or we look fragile in that regards, take advantage. So I do think it's going to be one where we're going to be on the edge of our seats. But, you know, hopefully it's one of those where the trailer doesn't quite live up to the movie. It's boring Arsenal. We turn up and win, kind of what we was doing at the start of the season. While I like the dramatics and all of this, less of the Brighton and the Luton ones, in my opinion. Can we just make it boring, get the 3 points and keep it moving? We're down to our bare bones. Obviously, to have Tomiyasu, not have Tomiyasu hurts, to not even have Timber, but we knew he wouldn't be there, and Partey for this running in December, and for games where we need to be strong defensively or have the option to go strong defensively. I'd take Emery back today. I'm not going to lie, I would. You know, I would as well, if I'm completely honest with you. 100%. I know the new jazz with the goalies and stuff. You got to be able to play with your feet and stuff like that. And I like Raya. I like Ramsdale. You know, I do think Martinez does have mistakes and has stinkers, and like every goalie, and it's not really highlighted. But, you know, Martinez is probably he is better than David Raya and Ramsdale on current form, and he probably is more sturdy hands. But let's see what Mikel Arteta is saying. Again, talking points, all of those things, feel no sort of way about getting them in. On the togetherness carrying on from the Luton game into the week, after you have to refocus and think about the best preparation for Villa, but it was a great moment next to our fans. You see the chemistry between the players off the bench. You have very genuine, happy faces for each other. It was a beautiful moment. He then said, a team has to have an unbelievable desire to win every match. And I think we've got that, and we've shown that time and time again. We could have scored earlier. There were certain moments that we could have done better to get the third or fourth goal. But when it's not the case, the team has resources and the skill right now to keep believing and actually doing what the game requires in the moment to win it. My thing would be for Arsenal, I still don't think we're perfect for at least 80 minutes of a 90-minute game, which is probably near enough impossible. I don't even think, definitely on current form, but historically, I don't even think Pep would say his teams that have won trebles and 100 points would say such. But if we start games well, we don't necessarily end it well. If we start a bit slow, we end strong. And I like the mentality and desire to win and the will to win and the grit. Obviously, Declan Rice has reflected that against Chelsea away, obviously Luton away, and I'm missing one out, Manchester United. But when the emotion dies down from the Luton game, big up Luton, because it shows anything can happen in the Premier League. Anyone can beat anyone. Every game's a tough game, but it was more dramatic than it needed to be. We made it more difficult than it needed to be. The vast majority of our issues was probably defensively. Like, it's a bit weird. Like, you go back a few games ago, we were solid defensively. We're saying, oh, we can't really break down low blocks and stuff like that. I don't think Wolves set up defensively necessarily, nor do I believe that with Luton, but quote unquote strong defensive units. We've actually looked all right in the final third. It's been the little errors defensively. Obviously, Zinchenko moving mad against Wolves, give or take. You know, I think several players, Raya, for 2 of the goals, has to hold his hands up. Obviously, anytime as a goalie, you come out from a corner and you try to collect it, you better damn well grab that ball or you're in problems, which he failed to do. And then obviously where Barkley's shot, for me, it's disappointing from an experienced keeper because, you know, Barkley's a good player, but there's only one thing he could do. Obviously, you know, the great players of this world, Bukayo Saka, they probably would have went for the near post. But people like Barkley, he's gonna hit the ball across his body and go for the far post. And I think Raya needed to read that a lot better, and he's jumped over the ball. I don't think Raya is alone in that because, as you know, your goalie is your last line of defense. So one luxury I give any goalie is before you ask questions of the goalie, what has happened to the other lines of defense? And if I'm honest with you, for Barkley's goal, Benjamin White, Saliba, Gabriel, Kai Havertz, Odegaard, Benjamin White, one criticism at times, he's slow to engage. I think we let ourselves down. From the corner, Martinelli and Jesus for the first one, not good enough. Obviously, the second one, I've just said Raya, and I actually believe Declan Rice is not strong enough there either. So, you know, it happens. I'm happy with the 3 points. I'm happy that we can win when we haven't necessarily played well. You know, you sign up across a 38-game season for a couple of games like that, which ironically was Aston Villa last year, and we've got them in 24 hours. Well, 24 hours is slightly over, but you get the point. So yeah, let me know your thoughts, and don't forget to hit the like button, people. So yeah, man, I don't think he's lying about that. On the run that Villa have been on, I'd rather have played them at the Emirates because I think a bit like Newcastle, they look like 2 different teams away from home and at home. Obviously, they beat Spurs away, but Spurs really should have put them to bed in the first 20, 30 minutes, and you need to be able to do that in the Premier League, as we've seen. So we need to learn lessons in that regards. But we've got to go to Villa Park. As you know, we've got some difficult games. On paper, Villa is difficult. I don't need to warn you lot. We've got Anfield coming up. We've still got to go to several difficult away grounds. He said, huge credit to them, huge credit to Unai and the coaching staff for what they've done. They've turned things around the way they play. They're going to be really tough opponent. It's a great place to go. One of my favorite grounds, a very English ground and a great atmosphere to play football in. So it's going to be a big chance for us. Obviously, Mikel Arteta won't be on the touchline because he's caught a case. On Raya's mistakes, he said, look at his form and what he's achieved since he's been with us. It's been really impressive. What can I say? I have 3 great goalkeepers, bigging up Kyle Hine and Ramsdale there. I'm really happy I have great wingers. Some of them are on the bench, but the questions are not related to them, and we have to accept that. As well, we have to support our players in the best possible way. We have to protect them, and we have to get the best out of them. I would focus much more on that. Every player needs the right support and love. They deserve that, which I don't disagree. Mistakes happen. Even Saliba's made mistakes this season. Declan Rice as well. They're minimal, but they've made mistakes. But we just have to keep going. And it takes big up Jess of She Knows Arsenal. Make sure you're subscribing. We're speaking about this, and I said to her, like, would you have this big talking point if Trossard came in for Martinelli? For obvious reasons, it's not the same. We know being a goalie is a bit different. But it has to be annoying. It's definitely annoying as an Arsenal fan doing this Raya Ramsdale stuff. It was always going to happen, really and truly. So we're going to have to get on with it. I slightly disagree with Mikel Arteta. If I was him, I probably would have been saying the same things about Raya. He's your guy. You bet on him. You brought him into the club. I don't know what he's achieved at Arsenal yet. I'm not sure on the form. Obviously, the ball playing and all of those things playing out from the back, Raya looks great. But no matter how much the goalkeeper role advances in today's day and age, you still need to be able to catch. And I like Raya, but I haven't seen, and it's only been a couple of months into his Arsenal career. Hopefully he has a great game against Aston Villa. I haven't seen that Brentford one. When we signed him, we was all looking at them highlights and things. Haven't really seen that, and there's more mistakes than standout games. Like I said, the passing range, that's all great. That's cushy. I like Raya, but, Declan Rice saved you against City with that effort off the line. You did make a mistake against Lens playing out from the back, which I'm not too stressed about. The Mudryk one is which I'm really baffled about, where he scored that cross. Obviously against Luton, there's been about 2 errors that he's had a hand in. So when you kind of want to see your keeper, I haven't really seen it. And assuming this is persists and we know what Ramsdale's about, you could make a case of saying, yo, you know what, we got it wrong. Might have to sign another keeper, but we're committing 3 million loan fee, and now another 27 is going to be ran to Raya's parent club, technically Brentford. So we're at where we're at. On the support he's had from his teammates, for us, for sure, he's going to have that, and he deserves support. Fans as well, obviously. Support doesn't mean, criticism doesn't mean you just attack a player. Praise doesn't mean you just sing praises. Let's talk about honesty. There's been moments Raya's looked shaky. He could have done better, but he's our goalie. He just signed for the club. And we support the guy really and truly. It is what it is. So yeah, big up the club for supporting him. And many players have made mistakes this season. I think we made 5 mistakes or errors leading to goals. I would imagine Raya's had a hand to 3 of them, but Jorginho's had one. Zinchenko's probably had a couple as well. There's even last season, Saliba had a couple. Everyone's gonna make mistakes. It happens. And obviously, when you are a defender, whether you're a centre back, a right back, or part of the defensive block, in if you're a goalie in that case, your mistakes are going to prove more vital. Obviously, if you're a striker and a winger and you're not passing when you need to pass, shooting when you need to shoot, converting your chances, them mistakes obviously are costly because goals win games and change games, but they're not necessarily highlighted. No one's going to really, you're going to more focus on a goalie losing the ball than a striker missing a chance if we all watched Match of the Day. On post-match celebrations versus Luton, we are, but I think we have a boundary that maybe we have to extend, or we just need a very strong rope with the bench, so maybe we don't move. That means we don't move. All of us, we don't move. He then said, that's why I say we, not me. I don't know. The decision is made. Unfortunately, I don't think I'm going to change it from here to Sunday. Celebration police really onto Mikel Arteta. He then said, no, we've had some meetings with the FA on the evidence, opinions, conclusions, and content that we've had. We're just waiting to hear. On Emery's time at Aston Villa so far, no, I followed him since he was in Almeria. What he's done for every team has been always remarkable. He always improves the players. And I do think across the league season, Emery weren't good enough for us. But I think those players that played in that final, they let themselves down, the fans down, and they let Emery down that year, if I'm honest. But, our European pedigree isn't the strongest. There's probably more well, there is more dark moments than good moments with Arsenal in Europe. I don't need to remind you about the Baku final, Paris 2006, and so on and so forth. Some of you that are older than me, you definitely have more L's that are coming to mind. He always improves the players, the team, the club, and he's Basque like I am. He's a manager that I really admire for what he's done in the game. He's done it in various countries at different levels and has always been successful. So I'm really happy for him. And, you know, Arteta's taken not a core, that's an exaggeration, but there's a base of players that were here under Unai Emery. Obviously, Saka's chance was under Unai. Arteta's kind of perfecting his game. Smith Rowe the same. Nelson and Ed Ketia were there with Wenger, but you get the point. Obviously, the regime of Emery and Sanye is probably negative, but one good thing we actually did was bringing in William Saliba, and so on and so forth. Obviously, it was different because I do think Arteta is given a lot of things that Emery wasn't. You know, Emery asked for Zaha, come with Pepe. He asked for Partey. We didn't bring it to him. You come with Torreira. So I do definitely think Emery across a league season wasn't good enough for us, but I do think there was some luxuries that he wasn't afforded people. So yeah, big up Emery. He's a great manager. On having a different team in the top four, it shows the quality of the league. Last year there were others, and it shows the competitiveness and difficulty to be up there, but they fully merit where they are. I think I'm going to be in the director's box. I don't know. It's a discussion we're going to have later on, but let's see. I'll have a really, really nice view, hopefully. And, you know, if things are going wrong, Arteta's probably going to be going mad from the box. So you can imagine, you know, Albert's going to be there with his earpods. We're going to need to make sure that their walkie-talkies are charged. You know, unlike there was definitely a game in the Premier League this week. It might have even been Chelsea United, where every minute the linesman's fiddling with that stuff on his arm. On whether Emery was our manager at the wrong time. It was always, listen, there's a reason. We got to remember, yeah, when we was linked with a new manager, when Wenger, it became clear he's stepping down, Mikel Arteta was offered the job. For whatever reason, which in hindsight, it's worked out, whether he thought he wasn't ready, whether, you know, it weren't the right time, he turned it down and then took it a year or whenever later. You know, they'd say in the laws, what is it? The Laws of Power, the book? Big up Robert Greene, the author. Avoid stepping into a great man's shoes. You know, it's a bit like David Moyes probably had issues and Man United weren't really fixed up. And, you know, when Wenger and Ferguson left, you saw a lot of what they were doing. But the first man through the door after a larger-than-life character, you're fighting against it. Obviously, you know, there wasn't as much harmony on the field, let alone off it, that Arteta has been afforded. Emery never had that. Obviously, you know, rightly or wrongly, everything you do is going to be looked at the lens via Wenger. If Emery says, you know, we're training on a Monday and Wenger used to give it them off, you know the talking points. So it was always going to be difficult. You know, it's like, obviously, City will still be City and achieve stuff even when Pep leaves. But then you look at it, the first manager after Pep, it's a difficult job. Everything you do is going to be judged under the lens of Pep Guardiola, rightly or wrongly. So probably every manager was probably going to be doomed, really and truly, if I'm completely honest, or not have this quote unquote success or this harmony, or the club it's not transparent. It wasn't transparent. I guess it isn't necessarily transparent now, but it wasn't transparent what we was trying to do. Now you can evidently see what the club's trying to do. So there you have it. I don't know the timing was as it was. I think he still did some very good things here, but it's not for me to judge that. On things he did that Mikel has benefited from. In the first season, they had quite a strong season, and he did it straight away after coming from PSG, and he's carried on. After he went to Villarreal, and he did incredibly well, and now he's been doing really well at Aston Villa. He's got a lot of experience and skills to get the best out of teams. On Ollie Watkins, who were once linked with and probably still are, he's been tremendously consistent over the last few years, been a real threat. Gabriel Saliba, bring your A game on how we can stop him, just like with other strikers. Don't give him the ball in the box. That's his main quality. I mean, you probably see him a lot more than we've seen Haaland in the last couple of times we've played against him. Only if Arteta is being targeted by referees, I don't know how to stop celebrating. It was a really emotional moment. You have everybody bouncing around. You lose sense of where you are. I mean, it's getting a bit crazy. Like, I'm sorry, but for all managers, what is football about? It's nonsense. But anyways, that's just my fault. And the space that you have to be in, it was unfortunate because now I cannot be next to my team on the touchline, but it's a decision that they have made. If you look strictly at the rules, yes, we cannot do that, but the context is different. Then the we, I think, is very important within the context. On whether emotion is being taken out of football, goal defending is being taken out of football, really. I feel sorry for any defender that plays Premier League football, you know, unless you can cut off your arms or detach them, there's no point being a defender nowadays. After that, straight away, I sat on my seat and I stayed still there for 30 seconds. But that was after the emotion. In the moment, I think it's very difficult to demand that. On whether he wants to stop celebrating, lol. If I was given the opportunity, no, I'd like to be there with my players because we work closely every single day to achieve what we want, which is to win games in whatever manner. When you get those moments in sport, you should be able to do that. But I understand as well there are certain boundaries and you have to respect them, such as when you're in the away ground. But if I was given the chance, I'd be there jumping. Big up Emery, obviously, Spanish and Basque as well. He's obviously going to hail up his thing. Utter waffle, move on, DJ. I couldn't care less about presses. They're needed, man. They're needed. I like to see what my manager's saying. Swear down, you man are going after Cherki. He's a mad baller still. Saka had one as well against Man United. Zini will get support from Martinelli, but he's going to need to be switched on himself. Bailey versus Zini is terrifying, but Zinchenko's going to have to stand up to be counted, man. End of the day, you got a bunch of experience. He was at Manchester City. We know you're never going to be a great defender, but these are the moments we need you. And rightly or wrongly, this is what we've got to step over there. So we're going to have to do what we need to do. Obviously, he's going to big up them on how they were against Manchester City. I'm not going to be drawn on any team in the title race because the title can fluctuate. There's no need to waffle about COVID. On Thomas Partey said, we don't know. He's getting a very good evolution in the injury, but it's a bit early to get a time frame. That would be incredibly fast if he was able to do that. So we're going to have to wait. We're quite short with 5 key players for us not being available for us for a bit of time, but we have to continue. And probably where January is concerned, at one point, we was probably sitting there saying, you know what? January wish list, striker and a winger. And that's probably still on the agenda for us Arsenal fans. I definitely know it is for me. At a point, for me anyways, midfield became the priority. Of recent, defense now as well. I think defense and midfield, we need at least 2 signings. You need another defensive body because we're playing a dangerous game in what's left of this month. And you need a midfielder really and truly. I don't think anybody's surprised that Partey isn't going to be able to play. On if there's enough depth defensively to cover injuries. Let's see. We're going to have to adapt. We have what we have right now. It's true that the January window is coming up and we'll have to access where the squad is and the needs that we have. But at the moment, it's something we cannot change. We have to play all the games now throughout December in the best possible way and keep winning. On the return of Tomiyasu and Timber, and if that actually affects what we may do in January, we have to consider every scenario. We need to have clear time frames as well of when players are going to be back, in which condition, and to play how many minutes. After we've done all that work, we're going to try to make the best call for the team. I hear it, people. And I mean, we've gone over what he's, said in relation to his ban. Allegedly, Arsenal learned asking price for Aston Villa midfielder Douglas Luiz. Aston Villa will only entertain offers of at least 60 million, allegedly, according to reports, which, I mean, we've tried to get him the last 2 windows. If we really have an admiration for him, 25 years of age, defo, on top of just being a good midfielder and tying into stuff, we seem to take advantage of set pieces. Douglas Luiz seems to relish dead ball scenarios. It makes sense. If I don't think Aston Villa are letting him go in January for 60 million, they might let him go in the summer. But as we know, they're fighting for top 4. They're having a great season. Why would you want to make it weaker for yourself? It doesn't make sense, people. And he's played 174 times for them. Shows his importance. We've been linked with him before. Manchester City and Liverpool have also been linked as well, people. Villa have no interest in parting ways with Luiz or any other key players. They continue to challenge for Champions League qualification and make progress in the Europa Conference League this season. Rightly so. And he's also signed a new deal. As we know, people, a lot of our players' futures are uncertain, but, they've listed anyways. Fabio Vieira, El Nene, Partey, Smith Rowe, and Jorginho. Ironically, El Nene's fit, Jorginho's fit, the rest are injured, so it really doesn't make sense, essentially. So we're moving on. Barcelona, Arsenal, and Man United remain keen on Zubimendi. Again, this has to be something done in the summer. As we know, he's got a contract at Sociedad until 2027. Apparently, his release clause is 50 million euros, which equates to 43.6 million quid. We've been here last January. I don't imagine it's going to happen again. Would love him. You think Arsenal fans would fall in love with him? It reminds me, very different, but reminds me of Jorginho. That's a bit more mobile and loves to defend. And we have been linked with him before, and a couple of Sociedad players, and obviously we loaned them Tierney, so maybe some indirect conversations happen. But in January, I think we can all forget about that. We've been linked with Victor, who plays for Sporting. He's a striker. Obviously, he was at Coventry. He's been linked with us aggressively. Apparently, the newspaper writes that Arsenal sent scouts to watch. I can't say that name, people. Gaio Queiroz, forgive me, more than once, and his foul was gaining space within Arsenal's scouting department. It said the London side already knew about him back from his time in the Championship, but only now they started considering his signing. The big problem is Sporting are not considering the idea of losing the centre forward in the middle of the season, and will only let him go in January in case his 100 million euros release clause is triggered. But for what it's worth, he's got 15 goals and 7 assists in 17 appearances, people. 20 million euros well spent where they're concerned, man. So it don't make sense. We need a striker in Jan, and Eddie needs to be sold. I've had enough of him. Balogun is going to run. Man said Balogun, I'm reading two things. Bailey is going to run loops around Zinchenko. We better have a good plan to stop that. But he's got to stand up to be counted, essentially, man. He can't take nothing less, really. Now, as I'm sure some of you lot have seen, people, Lyon is going from bad to worse. They're flirting with relegation. Rayan Cherki apparently can go for 20 million euros. Or if you see this article, it says as low as 10 people, really and truly. I don't know where to look at that, because you've seen me do videos on Rayan Cherki years ago. I'm sure you all know about him. Talented player. Wand of a left foot, can play out wide, can play as a 10. Think he has potential to be a star, not just for Arsenal or Lyon, or just, you know, at 20 years of age, obviously he's still young, but he's not quite hitting the heights. But why someone that I'm speaking about and someone that you've seen his quality, and there was even occasions this season and last where he's in really good form. Obviously he's young, it fluctuates. Why are they trying to allow someone that in, you know, France are producing all these players to leave for 10 or 20 euros? There's got to be something wrong. There's got to be something dodgy. There's got to be a defect there. You know, I don't know him, and you lot know me. I'm very wary of talking about attitude and all these things, but is his attitude right? Is his mentality right? Is his diet right? Does he truly recognize the ability he has, or better yet, the opportunity he has with his ability? I don't know, people. But if there was a willingness from Arsenal to get it done, and Mikel Arteta can get it done, I'm all for bringing him to the carpet. It says 20 million euros here, people. It says as low as 10 million. Where is it? It says 20 million euros here, and then it says 10 on one of these as well, but I'm confusing myself. But yeah, I would love the guy at the carpet, but it's a myth. We've gone over that already. We've apparently been scouting a young 19-year-old American midfielder who's been compared to Germany and Bayern Munich star Thomas Muller. Apparently, we're looking at Rokas Pustakas. Can't pronounce his name, but you know, he currently plays in Croatia, people. 19 years of age, has made 9 appearances. So it makes sense why we may be scouting him. And obviously with him being American, us going on a lot of tours to America, it could make sense. Even if he doesn't hit the heights, you bring him in, he's sold on for a profit, we keep it moving. It's as simple as that. Ryan Taylor previously tweeted yesterday, people, one name that could enter the thinking of Arsenal this winter is Monaco's Fofana. Sources close to Fofana have indicated Monaco are prepared to consider a January sale, as the player's current deal is due to expire in the summer of 2025. Probably will be a lot cheaper than Douglas Luiz. Mikel Arteta is understood to be an admirer of the player and was spotted in conversations with Fofana after the Emirates Cup clash in August, although it must be laid on record that Arsenal are yet to make contact over the deal. Whether it's him or Douglas Luiz bring someone in, I'm very pessimistic on Douglas Luiz. His contract is winding down. I'm sure Monaco are open to offers. Obviously, we sold them Balogun, so maybe, you know, we've got their number on speed dial. Get it done. There you have it. Lyon apparently want just 10 million for Rayan Cherki, people. I personally think the bulk of these rumors are coming out with because Lyon are in disarray and there's question marks essentially, and his performances have dropped. I do think there's a bit of an attitude issue, but he's got 18 months left on his deal. Chelsea want him, PSG are looking at him, West Ham are looking at him. I'd love him at the carpet, man, and I think Arteta would love him just based on his play, on how he plays. I don't know about all the other baggage, folks. Apparently, Mikel Arteta is keen to sign João Paulinho from Fulham, which would likely would likely spell the end of Thomas Partey's time with Arsenal, whatever that means. We have been linked once again with, you know, this Turkish lad that's at Juventus. Can't pronounce his name. And where is it? There it is. Kenan Yildiz. Didn't he just join from Bayern Munich? So I'm not too sure, but it seems like a couple of clubs are being linked with him. I got a video coming out on Lenny Yoro. I would love him at the carpet as well. I'd love everyone. Arsenal target to break his club's heart as he's keen on Gunner's move despite previous claims. Despite the fact Wolves winger Pedro Neto has previously stated his future ambitions don't matter, it's reported he's keen to join Arsenal. You're not joining us in January. I'd love to be wrong. He's been linked with Spurs, Man United, Liverpool, and saving the best till last Arsenal. Apparently, he's got a 60 million price tag. He was probably one of the early players of the season, really. He started the season for Wolves blisteringly well. Obviously, he's been injured. I would love him because you could compete with Saka, or you've shown you can play off the left, really. And obviously, Trossard's 29 now. I'm not saying you need to get rid of him, but to have Pedro Neto, Martinelli, Saka, Jesus, a next striker, and all the other young players, be some tasty options. Apparently, he's keen on a move to the Emirates. We've been linked with him before, as have we with Ivan Toney. But whether it's Douglas Luiz, Ivan Toney, Pedro Neto, as you lot all know, it comes down to price tag. Cash is king, and it's can't pay. stay away, essentially, really. Benjamin White is now expected to sign a new Arsenal contract. We've heard that before. And also, Tomiyasu's been rumoured to be signing one. Zubimendi option has been ruled out by Barcelona as they don't want to pay money to clubs who have positioned themselves against Barcelona in Negreira case, which is a case that's hanging over Barca. Also, he has never shown pure desire despite Barcelona's interest. His 60 million euros price tag is also a problem. But hey, so if it rules out them and we can have a free hit, why not? Apparently, he's appreciated at Bayern Munich, people. Apparently, he's unwilling to leave Sociedad in January, and he could be something in the summer. They did try to get Paulinho, so maybe. Ornstein has said names such as Luis Neves, Zubimendi, and Jota continue to be mentioned in the public domain. And while there may be an admiration for such players among some at Arsenal, I'm not sure those views are universal inside AFC. That's before you even consider whether they're attainable. So pouring cold water on Steam. On Ramsdale, he said, I don't think Arsenal would allow a loan, only a permanent, and that would need to be at a level of fee that gives the proper finances to play with. And I'm not aware of any movement on that front yet. Of course, Ramsdale wants and needs to be playing, but I hear unsurprisingly that he has been training well and a model pro. Ideally for Arsenal, this would be addressed in the summer. Ideal for everyone. I mean, I was just reading this myself. We have been linked with Arthur Vermeeren, but this is more a think piece on what he's about, so I won't bore you lot with that. What else have we got? David Raya's form could be affected by the debate over Arsenal's number one, admits Mikel Arteta. He's got to be able to shut up the noise. It's Arsenal. There's going to be talking points. Saka doesn't play well for 2 games. There's issues. You know, Mikel Arteta, you're the best thing since sliced bread to Arsenal fans until we start losing. It doesn't matter if you play for Arsenal, Man United, Chelsea, City, Spurs. No, I'm joking. Definitely not Spurs. They're not a big club. It happens, really. And naturally, it's not fair for Ramsdale or Raya that the talking points become them two versus each other, or the other keeper it should be the number one with every mistake. It can't be nice, and it has to be playing on them. Obviously, it's a bit of a circus. People might say, you know what, Arteta, you should have probably said, you know what, Raya's my number one and Ramsdale's my number 2, rather than I will sub keepers and 2 quality keepers and 2 things in every position. I think everyone who knows anything close about football probably expected that was a bit of a lie. But then I counteract that and say Mikel Arteta can't win. If he comes out and says that, people are going to say Ramsdale's been done dirty. You know, if he comes out and tells Raya he's the number one, I don't think Raya will be complacent. But you know, you've got somebody chasing you. I don't know if he sat both men down and said, you're my number one, you're my number 2, or Ramsdale is your shirt to lose, or Raya, your second choice, and you can grab this shirt if you perform in training and whatnot, or any others. Who knows? But it's got to be played on him. But that's where Raya has to shut out the noise. He has to shut out the noise. You know, it's not that our opinions, football fans' opinions don't matter. The one person's, there's only 3 people's opinions in life that matter. You know, God's, which ain't a person, the manager who the world could be saying not to pick you, he's the one that makes the decision and he's playing you, and yourself. Really, you've got to get yourself in that headspace. Now, it's a delicate time as well because you've got Euros, and I'm sure where Spain and England are concerned, both of our keepers want to go there. But you're not going to be the first or the last player. When Ramsdale walked into this club, people didn't want him, relegation keeper, blah, blah, blah. I wouldn't say he convinced everyone, but you saw his quality. Benjamin White, people didn't even want Mikel Arteta. And there's been players before, you know, when Wenger who was something that was said. You're not going to be the first. You're not going to be the last. Obviously, Arteta has been defiant on that. But yeah, people, ironically, we've covered this already. Looking at statistics, Raya has started 10 Premier League games this season and has a minus 1.4 post-shot XG. This XG crap that's coming to football now. Expected goals in brackets based on how likely the goalkeeper is to save the shot compared to Ramsdale's minus 1.7 post-shot XG from his 4 starts. The distribution on the loan Brentford goalkeeper was part of the reason he was brought in. He has a 78.4 pass completion rate compared to Ramsdale's 74.8%, but Raya launches the ball in brackets over 40 yards more often than Ramsdale and finds his man at a significant better rate. I personally think with Raya's kind of inconsistencies right now, that's the thing that's keeping him in the team. Because if it was just based on what a goalkeeper's traditionally needed to do, boy, I like Ramsdale. I'd like for him to try and get his spot back. I'd love them both to stay. If Ramsdale is to leave, if we're offered something unbelievable in January, then you've got a decision to make. But for me, it's a summer thing. And where would you go? Yeah, we could sit here and talk about Newcastle and all of this. But if you're Newcastle, you're trying to ask for Ramsdale on loan. You're not trying to back out 50 million. Yeah, he got PFA nomination. Looked like he might get the England number 1. And, you know, he did well helping us get top 4. But he can't buy a game. You're not going to do that. And they're going to have their own issue when Nick Pope's back fit. He's been linked with Chelsea. Obviously, they've got Sanchez there. Ramsdale probably needs to make the step respectfully to a Wolves or something like that, and then make the step up to a top 6 club. Raya should, sorry, where's your comments are not coming up? What's going on here? Raya should be benched. He made too many mistakes in too many games. Fair is fair. I can't lie, I would sell Ramsdale. I hate this goalkeeper topic. People really saying sell Ramsdale, disgrace. Ramsdale is our best shot stopper. Raya isn't convincing, just his passing is a little better. I think his passing is much better, but I do think Ramsdale's a better shot stopper. So Arteta, as much as I love him, needs to stop being stubborn. But if that's what he wants to do, he's going to have to live or die by it. Big up yourself, Harrison. We saying, DG, Merry Christmas, and I pray you have a wonderful one and happy holidays. I hope you guys hold on to Ramsdale. First things first, lovely message right back at you and everyone in the comments. And I like Ramsdale, but it can't persist in it. This is going to have to be the first and last season where we're kind of seeing this. But I do want a number 2 that obviously they're not going to be better than Ramsdale or Raya if they stay, but I don't want it to be and I don't know who would be the keeper, but I don't want it to be a golfing class. Like, respectfully, Matt Turner and Ramsdale, you're not there. Maybe if Raya came in a year earlier, boy, it would have been a thing. And to be fair, I don't think there's anything Ramsdale can do because, as we know, pardon me, Raya was the first choice. He weren't attainable. We got Ramsdale, which probably he came up on some shortlist somewhere. Did all right. He's done well. It was a bit of a fairy tale. Signed a new deal. Raya became available. Or being cynical, when Ramsdale signed that new deal, we protect his market value because it's not like he signed a 5-year deal. He's only probably signed an extra 2 or so years. Protect his market value. Maybe, we've Arteta indirectly has kept good contact with Raya. Obviously, Raya didn't go to Bayern Munich or Spurs, and it became like he might be available. And we revisited that, and here we are. DG, trust me, Cherki is a cold baller with the right mentoring. He can reach the top for 10 mils still as well. He is, and I would love him. But then again, like, is it too good to be true? Because there's got to be something wrong with that 10 million. Like, there's got to be a reason. But I think he's at that age now where he will improve significantly if he wants it, or you'll just be another player that's got hella talent and you're just passing through. But he is only 20. The penny's going to have to drop for him soon, though. Who will we sign? I wish I had a clue, man. Dare I say it, De Gea would do a job. What, for Arsenal? I mean, in theory, if we were to sell Ramsdale in January and, De Gea is going to sit on the bench for a year and tie us over, why not? But nah, it's not for me. I don't like to be that guy, as I just said. I know the game's advanced, but I don't want to keep waffling about, the first thing we say with a goalie is how good they are with their feet. I don't think De Gea is good enough with his feet. I think his shot stopping is decreased. So yeah, it's a no from me. Mark my words, DG, if we sell Ramsdale, it will be a mistake that will cost us the league. Some would say Ramsdale cost us the league anyways. Just like when he played Saliba and Tommy in that game versus PSV and both got injured, best to not do it. DG, with Chelsea and Man United dropping off and teams like Villa and Newcastle fighting for top 4, do you think we could see a new era of teams consistently challenging for the top 4? I mean, you'd imagine it because the Premier League, obviously the top 6 kind of run away from it, but with the money in the game at all levels, the margins are getting closer. So yeah, I've said it before. I've said the top 4 would turn to a top 6. Soon it's going to be a top 10. And well, I'm 29. Well, 29. I'm 29 next year, but I'm 28. Probably within 20 years, 30 years even. Maybe even more, maybe just after my lifetime, there might be a reality where everyone can go down and everyone can win the league, which I guess would be exciting. But unless it's Arsenal Football Club, I don't really care, man. So yeah, smash the like button. But there you have it, really and truly. I think Raya's ability to pass the ball is what is keeping him in the team right now because he has been a bit shaky. And I think people are harsh to Ramsdale when they say, oh, he cost us the league. What about how many times he saved us? If there is a single player at Arsenal Football Club last season, yes, some made more mistakes than others, but if there is a single player at Arsenal across 38 games last year who said they never made a mistake or had a bad game, I'll call them a liar to their face. No. Because every player made mistakes. Every player had good games. Every week there's a better, some people are the villains and then the heroes. Jorginho's done well this season, but he's also made mistakes against Spurs. Declan Rice will drop clangers, as great as he is, and I don't want it to happen. These men are human. I feel sorry for Everton, as they would be in the top 10 if they never got a 10 points reduction. Big up to Sean Dyche, because he's moving like he never got that in the first place, really. So shout out to him, essentially. What is this? I mean, this is more Ramsdale Raya stuff. I mean, you can see their saves to shot rate by venue, whatever the hell that means, people. Again, I must admit, I'm quite tired of this Raya Ramsdale stuff. It's boring now. It really is boring. Apparently, Ornstein said when talking to fans on The Athletic, he said, I'm expecting a fairly quiet window at Arsenal. Things can always change. So please don't hold me to this if they do. But that's my current anticipation. We know from the David Raya loan this summer that they don't have much breathing space on FFP. And once they're in a position to spend properly, the first outlay needs to go on turning that deal permanently. Obviously, there's Aaron Ramsdale's situation. I don't think Arsenal would allow a loan, only a permanent transfer, and that would need to be at the level of the fee that gives the proper finances to play with. I'm not aware of any movements on that front yet. Of course, Aaron Ramsdale wants and needs to be playing, but I hear, unsurprisingly, that he's been training well and being a model pro. Ideally for Arsenal, this would be addressed in the summer. The Tomiyasu injury and his potential Asia Cup absence in January and February are a huge blow, so perhaps some defensive cover is sought on loan. However, if everyone else stays fit, then once he's available, that new player won't be needed. That would be the options available in the market to Arsenal's liking. It's complicated, but to be fair, Cedric is, you know what, you have to rate Cedric because he might even get an opportunity. I think Arsenal would like to add a midfielder at some point, but there would need to be a departure. And right now, it doesn't seem anything is developing on the likes of Jorginho, Partey, Smith Rowe. We know that they like Martin Zubimendi, Barella. Okay, Ornstein, Barella. I mean, I like Kelly Rowland. She ain't shouting me for a date, as I always say. But hey, Barella, Zubimendi, the dream is free. The hustle is so separate. Okay, I'm sitting up, Ornstein. I'll take this in. But yeah, he said Martin Zubimendi, Barella, Pedro Neto, and others. But again, I don't know of any movement of that. Ruben Neves is staying in Saudi Arabia. I can't see Aston Villa letting Douglas Luiz go. And to my knowledge, Arsenal were not seriously looking at either of them for this winter window. Anyways, it's been well documented that a striker is on the agenda. I think that would be one for the summer. As has been reported in various places, there's admiration for players such as Ivan Ferguson and Benjamin Sesko. I bring Sesko. But Arsenal aren't alone in that, and getting them out of their existing clubs won't be easy for any suitors, of course. Ivan Toney, Victor Osimhen, and Victor Boniface are also in the pool of frontmen being looked at by many clubs. But once again, I think we're a long way off knowing a direction of travel. Fair enough, people. I see that seems to be Arsenal. But what's he said there? No, I don't, Jeremy. Whatever we think of our player, Arteta has clearly decided Raya is his first choice and he appears determined to go forward with him. Let's see if Ramsdale can change the view. And of course, injuries can play a part too. Whether at Arsenal or elsewhere, Ramsdale's a top player and character who I'm sure will continue to have a great career. But Raya was the player Arteta originally wanted and he eventually got him. And all public comments suggest the manager, is very happy with how things have panned out. Fair enough. That seems like that's it on Arsenal's front. I was reading that earlier. I won't bore you with that. It's not about blaming Raya. I mean, we've seen that sort of stuff already. Timber apparently has given an interview and he said, it does feel like home, Timber says as he takes a breath. Let's just focus specifically what he said. The beginning was obviously hard in relation to his injury. The first few days are painful. My girlfriend helps me a lot. I felt like a baby. The support of my teammates and coaches was immense. From the moment I heard the news, I remember Zinchenko and Elneny were at the training ground. Everyone was off that day and the doctor left me alone for a bit. They came into my room. They were just talking to me and encouraging me. So many positive things. Big up them lot for that. A lot of guys were texting me because everyone was off. And that's where injuries can become lonely, you know. Again, and I think it's a test from God for Timber, because when you look at Timber, he seems a very religious man. And, you know, you're a young player, just joined your boyhood club, Arsenal, you know, done well, fans gassing you up, doing well against City. 50 minutes into your first Premier League game, you're injured. It's a test. And it's also during a Euros year as well. And he's young. This is his first significant injury. And obviously, when you break it down, it's a long road because, you know, if they sign him off whenever they sign him off to be fit, being fit or being able to train doesn't mean you're able to train to the level like your teammates or you're ready to play football. He could be ahead of schedule. He could be behind schedule. There could obviously be some setbacks. We don't know when you're going to have contact. Obviously, from a lifestyle point of view, you know, he's struggled to walk and somewhat be self-independent. And, you know, like I said, you just joined Arsenal. You've got a new home. It's got to be lonely. You know, you're at London Coley when, you know, you're probably going to be there when the players are off linking up to go and travel to Aston Villa. When players are away in the Champions League, you've not been able to be part of this, really. And as you said, when people have off days, he's not there. Or, you know, sometimes I don't know where the physio room is set up, but you could be with the doctors and whatnot. The players, or you can watch them on the field, and that can F you up mentally, really and truly, essentially. So it's a long road and it's a battle, but what don't kill you makes you stronger. So big up Timber. I can't wait till you're back, if I'm honest. And shout out Zinchenko and Elneny and the whole club for what they did there, man. Scrolling the way down, he said, you have to learn while watching. The thing is, it's a long injury between 7 and 9 months, but it's also coming closer every week. At some point, you need to dig into the way we play and be ready for when I'm back. I remember talking about it with Declan when we started the season. At the same time, we were inspired by the way Mikel looks at football and also how he taught everything so quick. I don't like to compare, but for me, he's a great trainer. For me, from when I was here the first day, he started to teach me things and explain things to me really quickly. I don't know if that's different from other trainers, but it's something he's really good at. He then went on speaking about his religion, better yet. This is the basis and anchor for me in everything I do. That helps me in everything I do, and I take it with me in everything I do. I think it's obviously a big part in the beginning to stay positive, and there's a good future ahead for me. And I mean, that's the one benefit. Like, it's not like you're 29, 30 and you've had this, like, God forbid, and big up Joel Matip for Liverpool, but obviously he's significantly experienced and now he's injured. What has he probably been thinking about? So yeah, and obviously apparently he attends a church in North London somewhere. So yeah, big up Timber, man. I think he spoke about the project he's doing. Big up you for the project, but I don't think anyone necessarily wants to hear about that. So yeah, there you have it. Don't forget, people, to set your reminders. Tomorrow we will be watching Aston Villa Arsenal. Later today, you will see a video come out where I've kind of previewed the game and my talking points. Tried a little thumbnail thing there. And big up Jess from She Knows Arsenal, because we obviously spoke on everything Arsenal, and we did waffle about Aaron Ramsdale and David Raya. I think that'll be the last time I speak on that, unless there's something really significant. It's boring, man. It's proper boring. The most boring thing with the club, man, if I'm honest with you. Facts, fitness, and match fitness, different things. Then there's getting back to form and sharpness. Exactly, man. And anyone who's had an injury, it's the mental things, because you might think you can't move the way you move. I don't know Timber, but naturally he's human. There might be a reluctance to play in certain ways because you try and avoid injuries. It's a mental battle more than anything. The Dutch are mentally strong. I'm sure he'll be back stronger, DG. Inshallah, my guy, it's necessary. Like, every footballer's going to have it. It seems to be at Arsenal that, we got a bit of a curse with these injuries. But yeah, how much would Brentford demand for him? Are you speaking about Ivan Toney? I think in the summer, if you can hit the ballpark of 60, 65, you might be able to get him. We need to sell to buy, and we desperately need a defender. When Holding left, we didn't replace him. One injury to Saliba, and it's panic stations. It's panic stations even more because, obviously Tomiyasu, Timber, Benjamin White, they can all play centre half as well as fullback. But because there's 2 injuries now, we don't have that luxury. So yeah, I think whether you get them on loan permanently, I think we need a centre mid, another centre mid, and another defender of some sorts, because that's the spine of your team. Out. Don't get twisted. Would love a striker. Would love a winger. I think we need to be looking at another goalie. Obviously, Ramsdale's not going to be here long. Smash the like button if you haven't. But yeah, we need to address the spine. Don't know them, my guy, but I'll get on that and big up the Indians, man, and everyone all over. All I see is goals passing him. Arteta lost the title that season because of bad decision making. I still love him as our manager. Ramsdale was our keeper. He saved us more times than we can count. Raya is yet to do anything like that. Raya is yet to have one of those great games. But everybody let us down. Everybody had great games and made good decisions last year. Everybody let each other down. What I would say specifically last year from Mikel Arteta, probably a naivety on some players that can't perform past the purple patch. Obviously, if there's injuries, whether you try to bring people in or not, can only deal with what's in front of you. Failure to do that. So yeah, and I think the players did well, and they also made mistakes. Like, even when Rob Holding came in, yes, Rob Holding, kills our system and all these things. But when I look at the West Ham game, the Liverpool game, the City game, do I think we necessarily, based on how it went, as great as Saliba is, not belittling his absence, but based on how those games went, assuming Holding out, Saliba in, do we win those games? I don't believe such. And I honestly believe, going back, because I can remember that period clearly, Holding weren't the worst player on the pitch. And that says everything, really and truly. And obviously, we're going to focus on like the last stretch of the season. But if you're looking to beat at City to a title, you need to chase the illusion of perfection. It's going to, maybe not so much this year, I don't know, but you need to hit that 90 points realm. We didn't always do that. We shot ourselves in the foot unnecessarily. You look at the Brentford game, obviously VAR did us dirty, but away from that VAR change, we would have won, which kind of disagrees with what I'm about to say. But away from that VAR mistake, did we do enough to get the 3 points? No, we didn't. It's very different. But you look at Luton away, we probably should have had a pen or two. Crazy things, Gabriel being pulled and stuff. We were crap defensively based on the standards we set. I don't think Rob Edwards or Arteta will be happy. There's been 7 goals conceded, but we found a way to get it done. And that wasn't always the case. Hopefully we learn from our mistakes. It's okay to make mistakes, bro. Anyone that's not making mistakes hasn't done anything in life. And footballers are gonna make mistakes. The ball's gonna get on the lost on the transition. People are gonna switch off. Strikers are not gonna convert when they need to. There's gonna be brain farts. Same with Saka. What happens when he gets tired or drops off? Boy, to be fair, for the last couple of weeks until recently, people were saying Saka's off the boil, but he's finding a way to get goals and assists. Holding, bro. The very fact that we had to rely on Rob Holding, Arteta's gonna have to hold that. I like Holding. You're a good lad, better than Cannavaro, Chance, and all of that. Cult hero of such. We hail you up for you, Monreal and Mertesacker, pocketing Diego Costa. Sorry, but you're not levels. Like, you sign up for these things. And I think even when you go back to the season before that, where we was fighting Spurs for top 4 and we missed out, there was a couple of occasions players come in and like the players that are on the peripheral, they came in and they did well. They did all right. But you see, once the pressure is on, once you remove that romance, once you have to start relying on certain players beyond 3-4 games, or even if you can do that, boy, there's no romance in football, man. It's so beautiful, it gets ugly. And even now, look at my team. There's a lot of likable players, you know, apart from Cedric and Lokonga, who's not even a thing. There isn't too many players, I think, in this squad or connected to Arsenal's first team that I think are bad players. But when you're talking about latter stages of the Champions League and Prem, there needs to be a greater level of consistency. And if I had to bet on players, I'm betting on Saliba, mistakes or not. I'm betting on Declan Rice. I'm betting on Bukayo Saka. You know, they're the 3 that I'm betting on. Below that, Zinchenko and Jesus, for all your faults or what you're not good at or bad at, I think you have more good games than not. I think you've both brought a lot of things to the system. I'm betting on you lot. Martin Odegaard, throw him in there. Martinelli and Trossard, throw them in there. You know, I'm doing Gabriel a disservice. Throw Gabriel in there. Tomiyasu in there. Obviously, I like Benjamin White. I like Timber, and there's plenty of others. But below that, I like Jorginho's experience. But am I convinced if Jorginho's going to play 10 games? I like what we could do with El Nene for this season. There's that. Partey's a quality player, so, but the very fact that I forgot him said everything. Is Partey going to even be there if we got tough games and that? I don't know. You know, there's a lot of unanswered questions. I think we're a massively improved defensive side. We're statistically one of the best in the Prem. But do I think we defend to the caliber of champions? No, but that needs to be the ambition. I think goals are shared out. You see the amount of subs that have come off the bench. You know, we've had 11 different goal scorers or something like that in the Premier League. You know, so on the face of it, goals aren't a problem. But who are you going to bet your life on that's going to put that ball in the back of the net? Who is a proven goal scorer? If anything, is Saka. He's done it the last 2 seasons, well, 3 included now. Martinelli had and Martin Odegaard and Martinelli had their first sort of standout things last year. Jesus is a quality player. Pep, Arteta, the Brazil gaffers, they can't stop gassing him. But they never talk about his goals. It's more what you bring to the team. I'm not criticizing him. It's just there's a lot of unanswered things. I like Raya. I like Ramsdale. Ramsdale was part of a title challenge last year. Raya looked a completely different keeper at Brentford, and hopefully he regains his form. But I don't know what's going on there. And I think, you know, even someone like Saliba, we got to remember my man's young. He's going to do dumb shit at times, as great as he is, and he's a bit of an anomaly. The whole team, really and truly. None of them, beyond the obvious, are the finished articles. Beyond the obvious, or you wouldn't be here. Beyond the occasional few. So, yeah, there's a lot of unanswered questions, man. Exactly. The sharpness takes a while. And one thing Arsenal have shown with these injuries, rightly or wrongly, you know, I'm sure it's happened with Partey. It will happen with Timber. We defo did it with the reluctance to bring back in Saliba last year. And actually, when Gabriel Jesus had these big injuries, we're going to take our time. You know, I would love to see Timber at some point this season and stuff. But not that I'm a physio, if anything. If it's really the best that, you know, we see you in August properly for the, you know, resumption of next season, then let's do that, innit? Because one thing that does scare me about ACLs is the alarming rate that footballers are getting them. So with Matip right now, but there's always a couple of footballers, they get one ACL or they get one kind of significant injury and then they get another one. I don't know if it's the same, but Bentancur just come back for Spurs and he's got another one. You know, Zenolio's picked up 2 big ones and I think he's at Aston Villa now, so he's still doing all right. But you get the point, man. So it's an interesting one, man. It really is. Big up yourself, Manny. Don't forget, Football Manager Crew 4:30. We go live again. We only need 3 points to win the league, and then we've actually got a Champions League final against Liverpool. So 180 minutes to have a great season, and we did win the League Cup as well, man. I need some thugs at Arsenal and better street smartness. Exactly, like Jorginho said earlier in the week. It's just about being a bit smarter. When you have the chance to kill games. You know, we're kind of going through this recent thing of the games are more emotional, you know, and you go back a few months or so, the games were probably boring in a nice way. We was winning the games, but we weren't really quite playing with the fluidity in the final third. Now we've got a bit of fluidity in the final third. It looks like we're a bit shaky defensively, but this is football, isn't it, essentially, man? Stress-free streams, I ain't even going to say that, man. I ain't even going to say that. Which players would be your ideal January window? You said ideal, so it doesn't have to be realistic. So, you know, bring me Zubamendi, bring me Douglas Luiz, bring me that Diamande guy from Sporting. If he really is available for 10 to 20 million euros, bring me Cherki or Pedro Neto. Sign me the Osmans or the Vlahovic's and or Seskos. If not, bring me something else, really and truly. You know, put the plan into place to, you know, sign that defender to give us cover, or and also start to look at a goalie that's going to come into this club in the summer, really. Timber will be back soon from training sessions I've seen with him, but he's going to be on a different thing though, man. I don't know, Freddie, who we're getting realistically. That realistic thing is brazy, but right now we don't know if it's a defender or a centre mid. We don't know if it's going to be on loan or permanent. You know, obviously we're treading close to FFP, but we always hear this. We ain't got no budget, FFP, this, that, and the other. Sometimes it comes true. Sometimes we spend less than projected. Sometimes we spend more. And obviously January's a reactive market. Who is available? In an ideal world, nobody wants to sell or buy anyone, really. You know, you're reacting because you don't have depth. Had we have had, I know it's easy in hindsight, but we all know we improved our depth in the summer, but it weren't really a massive improvement. It's a bit of a sideward step. Had we have got that centre mid in the summer or got another defensive body, which ironically we were linked with those two roles beyond everything we've done, who knows how I'd be looking at it. And it all depends who's available. Trossard had a foot out the door at Brighton. Jorginho is made clear by Chelsea. You can keep it moving. Obviously, respectfully to Spezia over in Italy, 20 odd million quid for Kirill. Again, that's like, it's pocket money, really and truly. So probably going to be people of that ilk. I'd love to be surprised, but whether they're quality players or players that have been linked with us and we dream about, and, you know, players that will type in on YouTube and go watch them, or it's lesser known profiles, as long as they're the right players and they bring something to this team, whether that's raising the curtain, making us solid in terms of depth, that's what I want, man. Who we realistically shot in. And again, like with a lack of depth and all the things, who could leave? You know, if a certain, you know, if you get 50 million for Ramsdale, you got a decision to make. But is that the right thing? You know, you're going to need Ramsdale for Brentford at home in the Premier League. And God forbid, it would be like us if we was to sell Ramsdale for 50 million. The next day, Raya's hurt himself in training. So you could say that. I don't think Nketiah and Nelson will leave because we're not probably going to address those areas in January. Jorginho, Partey, and Nene have all been linked with moves away for a variety of reasons. That's not going to happen. I don't know with Smith Rowe. I don't think that's going to be moved on. And to be honest, half of these guys, unless we're, you know, going to do the mad thing and sign these players we've been linked with, and that's 100%, I'm not on nobody leaving. Like, my heart bleeds. You know, I would love everyone to get fair game time and stuff. But I don't care. I don't care if you've got ambitions to play for the Euros. I don't care if you're crying. You're staying until the summer. For whatever we've got, we're only bringing people in, unless it's dumb offers that we can't reject. In the summer, whoever wants to cut. Whoever wants to join us, join. So I'm not really for that. Obviously, Cedric could be moved on, but even that, one thing that saved Cedric is, you know, we couldn't bring in a defender. You've hung around like a spare part. Boy, I'm not going to lie. It's getting into that scenario where you might have to see Declan Rice play centre-half. Cedric might have to be integrated. Kirill might go in midfield. I don't know. I'm being a bit crazy, but yeah, man. But the thing is, with the FFP thing, it's broken, man. We've been hearing Wenger cry about it and whatnot. There must be ways around it. To be fair, we are where we are in the league because of our depth. Arsenal needs to give me Diamande. I need that. We need that. Keep tying over, because I'm not going to lie. With the games we've got and the time periods these games are coming thick and fast, especially with our defensive bodies. As we know, Benjamin White's just returned from an injury. Tomiyasu is irrelevant. Obviously, Kirio's about. Timber's not about. We don't have the biggest of defensive options there, man. And with the games we've got, let's hope we can do a thing. DG, would you swap Ramsdale for Tony and Jan? Sorry, would you swap Ramsdale for Tony and Jan, DG? Not a swap with Brentford, but selling and buying the similar fees. All depends what we're saying for a backup goalie. Then we've got a decision to make. Would you rather sign Tony and Jan or wait for Osimhen in the summer? Big up Tony. But if Osimhen is willing to hear us out and we've got a fair chance of signing him, bro, I'll wait till the summer. Obviously, you could sit there and say, you know what, Tony might help us win a Premier League title and all these things, which could happen. But Tony's not allowed to play to the 17th. I think it will be like he's never been gone, in it, because Tony's a quality player, in my opinion. But we don't really know for his fitness. Yeah, he's been training. and stuff like that. He's been playing in behind closed doors games, but he hasn't played 14, 15 games like the majority of Premier League teams. He's going to be off the pace, and we don't know how that's going to affect him really. So, assuming we sign Tony, who knows really? And he's also joining mid-season. So I'd rather the Osman in the summer thing, really, to answer your question. Nice that you got a key for the Emirates dressing room again. Come on. Or you say that I could be in two places at once, man. I'll do you one better. Let's go to the Emirates pitch. I heard the Champions League final is at Wembley as well. Maybe we need to be there as well. Oh man, you gotta love a green screen. Arsenal behaved differently last window. Who really knows? I think you go back to that January period. We tried to sign Vlahovic. I think we learned our lessons last Jan with obviously Jorginho, Kirill, and Trossard coming in. Hopefully, we do a lot more, man. Martinelli, quality player, man. I've needed a number 8 since Santi. Get me that Arteta and Eddie, please. We'd all love that, man. It is difficult to do things in January. A man said magician. Appreciate that, man. Nah, I'd say it's Eric Ten Hag. He said errors come to an end. I've never seen a man lie on their CV like that. Big up Postecoglou as well, man. It's lovely to see what's happening to Spurs, innit? I do think he's a good manager and they should stick by him. I do think he's been done a bit dirty because I think it gets to show. I think everyone can see whether you're in 4 competitions or playing once a week, Premier League games, injuries, you never know how people are going to get injured. Man are getting injured in training. People are getting tackled. People are getting injured as a result of fatigue. You need a big squad. You can never have too many players is what I'm starting to believe now. But yeah, man, let's just hope in January. Let's just hope this remaining month of the year or run of fixtures is great to Arsenal. Yeah, man. And let's just hope we do something in January. But who knows, man? I don't know what's going to happen. But what I can say is obviously the highs, the lows, the wins, the losses, the talking points, the current climates. Obviously, I'll be here with you lot, people. It's nice in December. I don't know what things are going to look like when we re-enter the Champions League in February, for example. Obviously, we've got one more game. I don't ever want to say a Champions League game or any football game is dead rubber, but we've done our job. It's not a United thing, innit? So yeah, people. But on that note, we've been here for an hour. I appreciate you lot listening, your talking points, whether you're tuned in on Twitch, Twitter, or YouTube. Don't forget tomorrow, obviously, it's Aston Villa Arsenal. We'll be doing a watch along for that. So I know I'll see some of you on the topic of Aston Villa Arsenal. Video is to come out in 73 minutes. And then obviously, go and check out the video I did with She Knows Arsenal, aka Jess. Make sure you're subscribed to her and whatnot. So yeah, man, I'm gonna love and leave you lot, man. Zubimendi would be lit. Wait, last question before I get out of here. What statistically speaking for you would be a good season for Havertz? Statistically, I mean, if we're just answering statistically, I'd love him to turn into, someone that gets 10 goals, 10 assists from midfield or something like that. But I just more want to see what I've seen in the last few games, and you're looking confident to make those runs. You're making things happen really and truly. Like obviously Declan Rice has grabbed a couple of goals and assists, but it's not necessarily obviously when you're going to grab headlines when you're scoring these late goals, but it's just because you've been doing your job and consistent and things like that. I just want to see this guy Havertz stay here. Whether he's able to do that is another thing, man. To be fair, the one thing I'll give Kai Havertz since he signed for the club is you do put in the shift defensively, put yourselves about, but the bar's on the floor. If I'm just going to praise someone for that, there's many a player in the midfield in all Premier League teams, even Championship and League One, who could do that. It's about doing that anyways and more. And I'm more seeing Kai Havertz in games. Like obviously, quite a few players played well against Luton. Saka made a difference. Martinelli did his thing. Obviously, Odegaard took a second half, did something. I think Zinchenko had an impressive cameo. There's definitely, and Declan Rice done what he's doing, but you're still hailing up Kai Havertz, even if Havertz didn't score really and truly. And just keep doing that, man. I'd say that's more important. I'd love him to get Xhaka numbers. Just want to see some presence in midfield, really, because it's only been a couple of weeks. But in a bit like people had a lot to say about Declan Rice's price tag, no one cares about it now. For these last couple of games, nobody's given a flying monkeys about Kai Havertz's 65 million price tag. As I said, the jury is still out, but just keep making that a thing. Go and make Mikel Arteta look like respectfully, Arteta's going to look like a genius or an idiot. There's a very thin line between the two in life, respectfully to Arteta. You're going to look like that because people are going to say, oh, I could have told you 65 million for Havertz wasn't going to work. Or you look like a genius. You was probably but Chelsea couldn't even probably believe their luck when you gave them that offer. Make it look like they've made a mistake, as impossible as that may have looked like at a time. If you're on Twitch, make sure you subscribe with Amazon Prime. Big up yourself, Nikki. I love Smith Rowe, but I don't see Smith Rowe in the Arsenal team again. I mean, I'm the president of the Smith Rowe fan club. I'm not giving up on him yet, but it does look like the beginning of the end. Hopefully he can prove people wrong. But on that note, Twitch gang, I'll see you at 4:30. Check out the rest of the content I've posted in the chat. Stay blessed, stay safe. Appreciate you lot. And don't forget, like, comment, subscribe. And definitely don't forget, it's the last month of the year, people. Let's make sure we do what we can to set ourselves up for 2024. I hope you and your loved ones remain in good health. Peace.
You always use that active and defending. I think it's like